Hello, YouTube. Thank you for stopping by yet another edition of the Massachusetts Beer Reviews channel of YouTube. Thomas Metal 75 here. This is your Massachusetts Beer Reviews, and if the title hasn't told you what this Sierra Nevada beer is that I'm reviewing, it is the Maple Scotch Ale. Scotch Style Ale. And they say Scotch ales are wintertime staples, known for their rich malty flavors. This robust beer combines that traditional sweet malt flavor with a hint of maple for an added layer of flavor, or added layer of depth, I should say, making this intense beer the perfect thing for sipping near a warm winter hearth. It's 7.3% alcohol by volume, and as all Sierra Nevada beers are at this point in time, brewed in Chico, California, and Mills River, North Carolina, which is probably, I guess, where this beer would have come from. And it also came in the winter, I guess it was called the winter pack variety. It was packaged on the 22nd of September 2016. And they use Aurora hops throughout. That's the only hop they use. And they use caramel, two-row, Munich, and chocolate style malts. And I'm going to put it in a Guinness style pint glass. Here is the crown, the cap, nice fall looking color actually, cool. And let's get a pour on this, guys. And what do you get with that Maple Scotch Ale? Is a nice dark mahogany color. I think there is some sediment in there. It is a little bit hazy and cloudy. 2 to 3 finger head, and it's nice and khaki colored. Pretty substantial looking head. Touch of some alcohol legs. I think some lacing is going to happen in here. So let's get a nose on the Maple Scotch Ale from Sierra Nevada. You're getting those maple syrup notes. They are using maple syrup in the beer. You're getting those toffee caramel toasty notes. Definitely brown bread, sugary notes from the maple syrup, or at least sweet notes, not too sugary, but I guess if you didn't like that note, you could consider it that it's sugary. And just a malty, toasty beer throughout. So let's get a taste of this on camera. Maple Scotch Ale, Sierra Nevada. Cheers, guys. Happy 2017. Definitely a toffee, caramelly, malty kind of a brew. Definitely there's a little bit of it being known that it's 7% in the taste, but it's not so bad. It does have a light Scotch whiskey kind of note. It's very light. It doesn't taste like it's a barrel-aged kind of a beer, but it has those light malty notes of a Scotch ale, of a Scotch whiskey, and an ale too. I'd say the mouthfeel is straight up medium. A little bit sticky in the mouthfeel. Tiny traces of stickiness around the glass, but not too bad. This could be a good sipper by the fire, I suppose, but it's not the biggest beer you could have in the wintertime. I personally would like a bit bigger of a beer. It's not really too Scotch or wee heavy in its big malty alcohol presence, which is sort of disappointing, but it is, as Louisiana Beer Reviews, Jay Terriot would say, it is a flavored beer if you want to call it that, with the addition of that maple syrup, and them calling it maple scotch. I think butterscotch is a good description of the flavor. It definitely has a bit more of a robust flavor than a Werther's, but it's the hard candy, but it's along those lines. Definitely a little bit creamy from the head, definitely butterscotch, definitely some toasty notes, definitely caramel and toffee malts again in the flavor, brown bread, molasses type sweetness, brown sugary notes, but that's all coming from the maple syrup. Now, how would I rate the Sierra Nevada Maple Scotch Ale? I don't think it's quite as good as traditional Scotch ales. It's got some carbonation, by the way. I don't think it's quite as good as traditional Scotch ales or wee heavies. I think Skull Splitter from the Orkney Islands in Scotland is by far better than this, and I'll tell you straight up, even the Old Chub Scotch Ale and the Nitro Old Chub Scotch Ale from the Oscar Blues Brewery is by far better than this. This just has a little, I hate to say it, it's an okay beer. It just has a little bit of a gimmicky feel with the maple syrup type flavor. I think that's the overriding predominant flavor. The caramel and the toffee malts mixed with that maple syrup is giving it a practically, like I say, it's giving it practically a butterscotch kind of a taste to it. So if you kind of like that direction, then this is definitely a beer for you. I don't know that they do this in 6-packs, so if you can still get that winter pack where you're at, or snow pack, I think is what it's called, from Sierra Nevada, then pick it up and you would like this one. This is my least favorite in that pack. Now, the pack contained Maple Scotch Ale, the ever-popular Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. It also included their single IPA, Hop IPA, which is a Cascade IPA. And it included something else. Oh, a cold brew coffee stout. That was pretty good. This is my least favorite. I'd probably give it just a straight 80. Just a low B minus. I think it is well above average, well above the C70 range, and even a C plus in the 75 type range. But it's not doing much. It's not wowing me. It just has that kind of one base note of the caramel malts and the maple syrup, creating that butterscotchy kind of a taste. Again, there is some toasty malts in the background, but I wish the maltiness and just the beer in general was a little bit darker in flavor, had a little bit more of a robust flavor, had a little bit more of what Scotch whiskey can have, which is those smokier, kind of darker malted notes to them. And a little bit higher ABV would be cool in a Scotch ale, but if a Scotch ale is lower in alcohol and has those Scotch kind of notes to them, and not so much of the added flavor notes to it, I think it would be a little bit more traditional to the style. I'm not finding that this one is real all that traditional to a Scotch ale. Maybe it's like a lower end Scottish ale, which isn't supposed to be as big and robust. I think for it being called a Scotch ale, it's pretty approachable, although I think Old Chub is pretty approachable too. So if you like the flavor profile and you like maple syrup and you're from Vermont or anywhere like I am in New England, you might find this a treat. It seems to me like it's more of a fall type beer with those maple flavors and those toasty notes. It's almost, I don't want to really compare to Oktoberfests, but if you did some of this to an Oktoberfest, it might be good in the Oktoberfest season. But I'm going to give this an 80. Not my favorite brew from Sierra Nevada, but I do appreciate a different brew from time to time. So yeah, this has been the Maple Scotch Ale from Sierra Nevada. I'm going to give that again an 80. Got any suggestions or requests for a beer review that I can get in southeastern Massachusetts? Let me know. I'd be glad to shout you out and do a review. I love doing these for my fans, for people that are on YouTube, and for the beer community. Let's have a beer together, guys. So until next time, keep tasting great beers. Cheers. See you soon.